Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. Oh boy, on this MAGA Thursday, we got a lot to cover today. This is Florida's longest running radio show, the Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. Callers on hold, you stand by. We have a lot of news to cover and discuss, and you're welcome to call in about any of them as I bring them up, including a major story that I'm going to break to you guys that was dropped by the great Tucker Carlson yesterday. But first, I want to talk about our favorite president, our greatest president, our bravest president, Donald John Trump, who yesterday put in this travel ban on 19 countries. Complete travel ban on 12, some restrictions on 7, for a total of 19. And, you know, America's under attack. We just had an Islamic terrorist attack in Colorado, and this guy's got a whole jihadi family going on. President Trump, Homeland Security, apprehending them to deport them after a proper investigation. He's got 5 kids and a wife, the Colorado jihadi, and a judge has stepped in to stop the deportation. Are you kidding me? These judges are not little presidents in robes. They do not have authority over our president, and they are breaking the law by doing the things that they're doing. But America is under attack. And I'll tell you, this attack in Colorado, one of them lighting Jews on fire while they're alive. One of them a Holocaust survivor. And, you know, when I was young here in Florida, there were a lot of Holocaust survivors all the time. You would see them. They had the numbers on their arms. You don't see that so much anymore. There are not that many Holocaust survivors. And Holocaust survivors are special people. They're on a special level and deserve certainly incredible amounts of respect and to be treated in certain ways. And when someone commits an act of terrorism against a Holocaust survivor, and how many Holocaust survivors are there left in the world? How many are left in America? Not that many. But that's an extra level of disgust, that a Holocaust survivor going through what they've gone through, losing what they've lost, gets attacked by the modern day Nazis who want to complete the Holocaust, and that's the jihadis, like the one in Colorado. It's just awful, you know, and it's disgusting. So President Trump, we've had 2 Islamic terror attacks, and President Trump has come in and done something about it, right? He's got the border closed. He's got the deportations going. Yesterday, I was reading this morning, yesterday ICE did more apprehensions in a single day than in their history. And, and President Trump, you can't just close down the border. You've got to be more official about that. They come in other ways as well. And he put in this massive travel ban. Listen to this. This is the president yesterday in the Oval Office.
The recent terror attack in Boulder, Colorado, has underscored the extreme dangers posed to our country by the entry of foreign nationals who are not properly vetted, as well as those who come here as temporary visitors and overstay their visas. We don't want them. In the 21st century, we've seen one terror attack after another carried out by foreign visa overstayers from dangerous places all over the world. And thanks to Biden's open door policies, today there are millions and millions of these illegals who should not be in our country. In my first term, my powerful travel restrictions were one of our most successful policies, and they were a key part of preventing major foreign terror attacks on American soil. We will not let what happened in Europe happen to America. That's why on my first day back in office, I directed the Secretary of State to perform a security review of high-risk regions and make recommendations for where restrictions should be imposed. Among the national security threats their analysis considered are the large-scale presence of terrorists, failure to cooperate on visa security, inability to verify travelers' identities, inadequate record-keeping of criminal histories, and persistently high rates of illegal visa overstays, and other things. Very simply, we cannot have open migration from any country where we cannot safely and reliably vet and screen those who seek to enter the United States. That is why today I am signing a new executive order placing travel restrictions on countries including Yemen, Somalia, Haiti, Libya, and numerous others. The strength of the restrictions we're applying depends on the severity of the threat posed. The list is subject to revision based on whether material improvements are made, and likewise, new countries can be added as threats emerge around the world. But we will not allow people to enter our country who wish to do us harm, and nothing will stop us from keeping America safe. Thank you very much.
Okay. So this is a major extension from the travel ban of the first term. And if you remember, we put in that travel ban in his first term, and immediately they found some liberal judge in New York who thought they were a little president and ordered him to stop it. And that's what they do, and that's what they're doing. But that's not going to fly. Somalia, what's Ilhan Omar going to do? She's basically a representative of Somalia. When these problems we're having with these jihadis, it's all Obama. When Obama was president, he brought in really a truly unknown number of Muslims and into the country. And I remember, and it was really done on the down low. There were some leaks that came out when Obama was president on all kinds of huge numbers, tens of thousands at a time, of Muslims that he was bringing here, and it could never be verified. And the media covered the story up. And then we found out, wow, it's pretty crazy. And in this post 9/11 world, for this to be going on, there's a new story out, TMZ, which is pretty awesome. TMZ. I was on the TMZ show once years ago. TMZ has a new documentary coming out, and you may have seen it talked about a little bit yesterday. I saw the promo for it, which is pretty extensive. It's about a fifth plane on 9/11 where the attack wasn't successful, and it's very dramatic. The fifth plane, it didn't take off because President Bush grounded all aircraft in the United States, so it didn't get off the runway. But it had a team of Islamic terrorists inside, and in the preview of the documentary by TMZ, they showed interviews with the flight attendants and the pilots, and they were described as pretty scary. They had a man wearing a burqa, face completely covered, but they knew it was a man. Their shirts were soaking wet with sweat, and they were obsessed with trying to get the plane to take off. And it's pretty dramatic. And that is getting circulated a lot because TMZ is promoting their new documentary, and it could not have come at a better time because, 9/11, it'll be 24 years ago, almost quarter of a century. It's hard to believe how long ago 9/11 was. But after 9/11, the liberals and Bush started doing insane things. Remember, President Bush started bringing Muslims to the White House right after 9/11. Turned out they had terrorist connections, right? I mean, it's crazy. And then what Obama did that I just told you about, and when Ilhan Omar and the squad got elected, they were walking around the halls of Congress with these radical terrorist-connected group people that were from different organizations, like they owned the joint. And we always hear these things, never forget, right? After the Holocaust, never forget. Jews are lit on fire while they're alive over the weekend, and we've got a judge in this country who's stopping the deportation of this guy's, the terrorist family. Never forget. It seems like they've forgotten the Holocaust. They never forget started again in this country after 9/11. And we've seen nothing but liberals continuing to forget all of these things. President Trump needs your support in this. The media are going to be on a major attack against this. They're going to call it Islamophobia. They're going to call it a Muslim ban. This country is under attack on so many different layers from around the world. Now, after our first break, Tucker Carlson dropped something pretty big yesterday, and it's not getting any press coverage, but I'm going to share it with you. Your calls are welcome. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, hang in there. No, if you'd like to call in, please do. The number is toll-free, and it is pinned in the live chat. We'll be back in just a few seconds. This is our first radio station break. We'll be back in about 20 seconds. Those of you in the live stream with the green background, if you go to my other screen, you can see the video and hear the audio of the sound bites I play. All right, here we go. We're back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. All right, let's take a call or two, and there's so much to cover today. Oh, man. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Wow. Hello.
Yeah?
Hello.
Yes? Oh, boy.
How are you?
Do you have any content, or are you just a grown man with the mind of a child?
Well.
Okay, I guess the grown man with the mind of a child is what it is. Okay, so if you're on hold, hang in there. So what, by the way, that was an international caller. Can you imagine? Got people around the world having meltdowns, talking about President Trump and the travel ban. I wanted to share this before I move on to some other topics, and we'll go back to the travel ban throughout the show. Caitlin Collins, who she's got the mind of a tool. She hates Trump like the plague. He humiliated her on her town hall with him during the campaign. And she brings a Democrat in, and they're talking about this travel ban that President Trump has put in place to protect people so they're not lit on fire when they're at peaceful events throughout our country. Listen to this.
Congressman Dan Goldman of New York, and it's great to have you here, sir. I do want to ask you about the Autopen and what is happening here at the White House. But before that, the other executive action that President Trump took tonight, banning travel from these 12 nations, restricting it partially from 7 others. What is your reaction to that move from the White House tonight?
Now, you know what the reaction of a Democrat's going to be. It's racist. They want non-white, and they're non-white. That's what the reaction always is. Remember Rush? The Democrats, Rush Limbaugh, I say this all the time. The Democrats, they always go back to that old, tired playbook.
It partially from 7 others. What is your reaction to that move from the White House tonight?
I mean, it's pretty consistent with what his quote-unquote immigration policy is, which is just essentially to keep anyone who's not white out of the country. And that's what he's trying to do with these.
Now, Dan Goldman, he's a Democrat. Is he Jewish? You got a Holocaust survivor and other Jews lit on fire while they're alive. And we've got a Democrat who's doing what? Like all Democrats, never protecting Americans. Always protecting others from other countries. If it's an American they're defending, it's an American that's done crime. What a jerk.
And to that move from the White House tonight.
I mean, it's pretty consistent with what his quote-unquote immigration policy is, which is just essentially to keep anyone who's not white out of the country. And that's what he's trying to do with these mass deportations of people who are going through the asylum process, which is a lawful pathway. That's now what he's trying to do in targeting these specific countries. And so it's a combination of this effort to push forward with this great replacement theory, as well as just to distract from what's really going on, which is a revolt against his terrible reconciliation bill that cuts taxes for billionaires and increases our deficit by $2.5 trillion.
I read through the proclamation about, why he was putting this travel ban in place. And part of it is he's...
Okay. Now, I don't know if Congressman Dan Goldman is a Jew or not. I assume he probably is because of his name. And, we were talking about never forget after 9/11, and then we got this going on. There have been my entire life endless discussions, books written, college lectures, movies, everything, our whole lives, documentaries, asking the question, how did the Holocaust happen? All these people are, how did the Holocaust happen? How did the Holocaust happen? We see it every day when liberals open their mouth. When Jews are lit on fire while they're alive, one of them a Holocaust survivor, and we've got Democrats publicly to keep the family in the country of the jihadi, they're all illegal. This jihadi, this is how the Holocaust happened. A Democrat shot dead 2 Israeli embassy staffers in our nation's capital. It's not even in the news or even mentioned anymore. This is how the Holocaust happened. We see it every single day. They're targeting Jews. And the left are covering for them. This is how the Holocaust happened. And I'll tell you, this is sick. This guy, this jihadi in Colorado, made the Molotov cocktails and a homemade flamethrower. He's in a house of 7. He has 5 children and his wife plus him. His daughter, who just got accepted to 2 colleges in Colorado. Free ride, by the way. Illegal alien from Kuwait. Free ride. I had to pay for my college. No student loans, no grants, no scholarships. I paid for it. But the daughter of the jihadi who's in the country illegally, free ride. She wants to be a doctor. To be a doctor, you need to be good at science. You don't think that his medical school wannabe daughter and his other 4 children and his wife had any role in helping him make these homemade Molotov cocktails and the flamethrower? Of course they did. And we've got some creeper judge who says you can't deport him. They're in the country illegally. They're connected to a major terrorist act, and we've got a judge that says you can't deport them. They've got rights. Jihadis don't have rights. Remember 9/11? What's wrong with you, Democrats? What's wrong with you? It's pretty bad. Pretty bad what's going on here. Everything we're seeing is how the Holocaust happened. It's like, this is how 9/11 happened. 9/11, people forget the build up to 9/11. The jihadis attacked us multiple times and there was no reaction. They attacked the USS Cole. What did Bill Clinton do? He sent a team of investigators from the FBI, and it was treated as just some criminal act. The embassy, the American embassies attacked with bombs in Africa. They sent another FBI team, treated it like an episode of CSI. CSI was new at the time with William Peterson. So what happened? Al-Qaeda said, America, and I forgot, they attacked the World Trade Center previously, remember? And nothing happened. More crime scene investigators sent out there. And Al-Qaeda, the terrorists said, hey, America's a bunch of wimps. We attacked the World Trade Center. We blew up their embassies in Africa. We blew the first attack on an American warship since the Gulf of Tonkin. That was fake, really, since the Second World War. They did nothing. So let's just attack the homeland. And that's how 9/11 happened. Because we had liberals running the country, social justice warriors during the Clinton era, who did jack when the Islamic jihadis attacked America time and time again. That's how 9/11 happened. And there's another buildup going on here because these attacks, the radicalized Democrat that killed the Israeli embassy workers in D.C. a couple weeks ago, the jihadi of Boulder who lit live Jews on fire, including one of them a Holocaust survivor, right? And they're looking at the reaction of America. And what's the reaction? We got a bunch of liberal lunatics on television. They just don't want non-white people here. They're setting Jews on fire and they're killing Jews. No, they just don't want white people here. These jihadis have rights. These people are out of their freaking minds. Now, you know what I have here in the studio this morning? You know what I have with me in the studio this morning? I have my MyPillow towel, the one that I actually dried off with this morning. And this is I don't know what shade of blue this is, but this is the original MyPillow towel set that I bought when the towels were first offered years ago, and it's like brand new. This is the one I dried off with. It's not what after I dried off, I hung it up and it air dried. Mike Lindell, who's on trial right now, the judge reamed him out yesterday for posting on social media outside the courtroom what's going on. Mike Lindell had an event outside the courtroom on Tuesday where a group of American patriots held hands with Mike Lindell and prayed for him in front of that courthouse in Colorado. They're more, these liberals in Colorado are more upset at Mike Lindell, who's on trial there, than they are the Colorado jihadi who lit Colorado Jews on fire over the weekend. And so they had this prayer circle over Mike Lindell. The judge reamed him out for talking outside the courthouse about what's going on. It's disgusting. He's on trial right now, and they're trying to take everything away from him. Now, these MyPillow towels, right here on the tag, it says MyPillow, towels that work, right? Towels that work. Mike Lindell says that. And, what that means is, and with our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE, the MyPillow 6-piece towel set, which comes in many different colors, is $30 off, just $39.98. And, what he means by that is, you dry off with these towels when you get out of the shower, the water just, boom, it's gone. You're dry as a bone. It's absolutely amazing. Other towels just spread the water around. And I've had a couple of experiences with these MyPillow towels, and that really prove it. Once, I spilled a 16-ounce cup of coffee on the floor of my hallway. I'm lucky I've got tile floors. And I reached into the guest bathroom and grabbed a towel. It was the white MyPillow towel set. And I just threw the towel on top of the coffee that had creamer in it. I picked it up. The floor was completely dry. It was like a Bounty paper towel commercial. I couldn't believe it. Then I walked across my whole house to my garage, which is where my washing machine is. And it held the coffee, the hot coffee in it the whole way. It didn't drip. There wasn't a drip trail all the way to the garage, to the washing machine. These are towels that actually do what towels are supposed to do. Use our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE at mypillow.com. They're $30 off, just $39.98. They come in 10 different colors. We have the blue and the white ones, the darker blue and the white ones. You will love them. You can also order by phone, toll free, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code KANE, KANE. We'll be right back. Oh, I love the MyPillow towels. They're awesome, man. They're very awesome. Well, yeah, it actually works. It is a big deal because your other towels, they don't do that. They have drained Mike Lindell of his wealth for his defense. It's crazy what they've done. Be right back. We'll be back in 2 minutes, guys. 2 minutes. Now, we've got more to cover. This is what I'm going to get into when I get back. We'll be back in just over 1 minute. If you're new, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. This is our bottom of the hour radio station break. We've got so much to cover today. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show. Callers on hold, stand by. The Steve Kane Show on the radio since 1977, celebrating its 48th year on the radio. That's a long time. Well, in August, we'll hit the 49th anniversary. Okay, Tucker Carlson dropped something big. This is in Mediaite. Tucker Carlson claims ex-Fox colleague Mark Levin is lobbying for war at the White House. Pray that Donald Trump ignores him. That's exactly right. He put a post on social media yesterday, Tucker Carlson, and he wrote this. We need to stop Iran from building nuclear weapons. He and like-minded ideologues in Washington are now arguing. They're just weeks away. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is Tucker Carlson's post on social. I've been hearing that Iran is weeks away from a nuclear weapon since George W. Bush was president. Oh, look, he mentions this, Tucker. If this sounds familiar, it's because the same people have been making the same claim since at least the 1990s. Yeah. It's a lie, Tucker writes. In fact, there is zero credible intelligence that suggests Iran is anywhere near building a bomb or has plans to. None. This is Tucker's post to social media. Anyone who claims otherwise is ignorant or dishonest. If the U.S. government knew Iran was weeks away from possessing a nuclear weapon, we'd be at war already. Iran knows this, which is why they aren't building one. Iran also knows it's unwise to give up its weapons program entirely. Gaddafi tried that and wound up sodomized and bayoneted. Yeah, that's true. Remember Gaddafi? As soon as Gaddafi disarmed, NATO killed him. Iran's leaders saw that happen. They learned the obvious lesson. So why is Mark Levin once again hyperventilating about weapons of mass destruction? To distract you from the real goal, which is regime change. Young Americans are heading back to the Middle East to topple yet another government. Virtually no one will say this out loud. It goes without saying that there are very few Trump voters who support a regime change in Iran. Donald Trump has argued loudly against reckless lunacy like this. Trump ran for president as a peace candidate. He noted before warning a war with Iran would amount to a profound betrayal of his supporters. It would end his presidency. That may explain why so many of Trump's enemies are advocating for it. Okay, here's what's going on, and this is really disturbing. We need to know what's going on with Mark Levin. We found out quite by accident last week because Tim Pool, if you don't know who Tim Pool is, he's a bald-headed online influencer who tries to cover his balding aging by wearing a winter cap like Michael Nesmith and the Monkees used to do, right? He's trying to make it look like he's some cool hipster. He's just a bald guy who's hiding his bald spot. But Tim Pool dropped something because he couldn't help but brag. He and other conservative influencers, he didn't say who the others were because it was a private event, but he said he was there. Tim Pool had said that he and other influencers were invited to a private meeting with Netanyahu, where they were pitching them bombing Iran and starting the Third World War. And Mark Levin has been going on this nonstop the last few weeks, right? Steve's been telling me he's been doing it on his television show, and now Tucker drops the news that he's at the White House lobbying for this. I don't know. Is he getting lobbied by Netanyahu? Listen, I am a strong supporter of Israel, but that doesn't mean that I support everything Netanyahu says or does. Not supporting an action by Netanyahu is not abandoning Israel. Just like we supported America even when we have presidents like Biden or Obama or Clinton who are running it. We still support our country. And these chicken hawks and warmongers are trying to start the third world war. You know, this situation with Russia and Ukraine is about to get out of control. Yesterday, President Trump spoke with Putin, and peace is nowhere in sight. And Putin told President Trump that he's going to have to respond to that attack on the bombers. I saw the drone footage online yesterday of the Ukrainian drone strikes on those bombers. I believe that either U.S. mercenaries or deep state personnel of the United States are responsible for all of this. All of a sudden, as President Trump is brokering peace talks and we're getting close to it, Ukraine is doing highly sophisticated attacks. The drone attacks. I mean, that was just, come on. All of a sudden, they're doing these high-tech coordinated drone strikes inside Russia on some of their most advanced top-secret bases and planes. How'd they pull that off? And there was a misinformation campaign going out about that. Yeah, the drone strike footage was released. I saw it yesterday. The New York Post had it, and it had all the writing, the graphics on the. We got the the camera footage on the attack on the Russian planes is from the cameras on the drones, and all the graphics are in. I guess it's Ukrainian. Russian Ukrainian. It looks the same to me, but it's not in English. It's in Ukrainian. I think they released the drone strike footage as a misdirection against the U.S. deep state that's gone rogue. This is off the books, not approved by Trump. They want everybody to know it was Ukraine, so they released the drone footage with the Ukrainian language all over the screen. So, and then they also do this high-level, very technical underwater demolition of the bridge to Crimea. And at the same time, we've got Mike Pompeo, deep stater, and Lindsey Graham, military industrial complex lowlife, just happens to be in Ukraine with all of this going on. Mark Levin is a useful idiot. Very nice of this guy to advocate for war while he'll be sitting here in Florida, sitting on the beach, watching it online or on television. This idea that they keep selling us, that the people of Iran are against the regime, how do we know that's true? This is what they told us would happen in Iraq. During Operation Iraqi Freedom, when Saddam's government fell, they were telling us, the people of Iraq hate the regime. They're going to be welcoming our troops. They're going to be throwing flowers at them. It's going to be like the liberation of France in the Second World War. The only thing they threw were IEDs from an insurgency that went on for years and sadly gave us these wounded warriors that we see on television in Tunnel of the Towers and Wounded Warriors commercials. The people of Iran, the Islamic Revolution was in 1979 when they took the embassy. They're 2 or 3 generations into complete brainwashing in Iraq. Yeah, there might be some young people that don't like the man, just like here. But I got to tell you, Mark Levin and these other war hawks and chicken hawks, what they're doing is so dangerous. Don't they remember the Iraq insurgency or the Afghan war that went on for 20? Think about it. When the war in Afghanistan ended, the day of that disastrous withdrawal, we had men and women in combat in Afghanistan that were born after 9/11. Think about that. They were born after 9/11, and now they're fighting the war. And all of them were not brand new recruits. And they want to start another war like that in Iran that has an army that's just under 1 million strong? I'd like to know if Mark Levin is getting lobbied just like Tim Pool and these online influencers were. Same goes for Ben Shapiro. Now, I support Israel, but I don't support starting the Third World War. This is insane what's going on here. And thankfully, Tucker Carlson let us know what the media let us know Laura Loomer was at the White House the other day, but did they let us know that this chicken hawk, war hawk, Mark Levin was there? Yeah, that's right. Go to war. I'll watch it on TV at my house on the beach in Florida. Oh, well, tough guy, Mark Levin. Boy, oh boy, it's a brave new world. You know, yesterday I was over at Friendly Tire in Margate. I ran into two listeners at Friendly Tire. I ran into a listener I've never met before, and then I ran into PJ, who calls sometimes. He was over there getting tires. PJ just got home from vacation, and he was over at Friendly Tire. And PJ got a little freaked out. PJ and I are friends. We've been friends for a long, long time, 20 years. You know, he's a good friend of mine. He goes on our cruises. And PJ was at Friendly Tire, and he texted me a picture that he had just taken a Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire. And as soon as he hit send, before the picture even showed up on my text, I said, PJ, and it kind of freaked him out a little bit. I guess he thought I teleported there or something. But, you know, Friendly Tire in Margate is absolutely amazing. Now, he has thousands of good used tires in stock at very good prices. But the new tires, you can get new tires out the door and on the road as low as $70 and a tire. And remember, when I say out the door and on the road, what that means is Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to balance the tire, mount the tire, or even dispose of your old tires. And he has to pay a guy per tire to take the old tires away. I mean, so you're really getting an amazing, amazing deal. He has all the name brands you want. You can get them. He can get tires for any vehicle. And let me give you his number. He will give you a quote right over the phone. Give Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire a call. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate. We'll be right back. If you're new to the program, make sure you subscribe, guys. If you're on hold, hang in there. I know I got a lot to go through today. If you want to call, the number is pinned in the live chat. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be back in just over a minute. All right, we'll be back in about 30 seconds. No, we're in a commercial break, El Lobo. It's a radio station commercial break. We'll be back in about 20 seconds. It's not dead air. Dead brain waves maybe in your head, but you know. Here we go. We're back. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. George Clooney, who's one of the dumbest men alive, was on CNN with Anderson Cooper talking about President Trump. I want to share this with you, but, you know, why do you think he was at one time the most desired man by women worldwide? Why did he marry this Muslim lady? I don't know. George Clooney is dumb as dumb gets. He really, truly is. And I realized how stupid he was when he went on television and had this bizarre press conference right after Princess Diana died. Remember that? And then he went on these interviews. Remember he came out, the Princess of Wales is dead. And then he blamed the press. And then he started doing talk shows. And, you know, George Clooney sounded smart when he was reading the lines that were written by educated people. When he goes rogue on his own, he sounds like AOC and Greta Thunberg, right? I mean, he's, you know, typical actor, dumb as dirt. And he was involved in pushing on America a senile old coot in adult diapers, right? Did that fundraiser for Biden, kept his mouth shut until after they replaced him with Kamala. And he's got problems with Trump. I mean, come on. So anyway, George Clooney, he went on with, if you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, you're welcome to do so at 1-888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're listening. 888-465-2631. He went on Anderson Cooper to talk about President Trump and the MAGA movement. Listen to this idiot. Two idiots, really.
Do you think Trumpism...
Oh, and I'll tell you this. I haven't mentioned this in a while. Anderson Cooper is CIA. Okay? He's CIA guy. Now, a lot of you may know he's his mother was Gloria Vanderbilt, who dated Howard Hughes. And... Anderson Cooper, a couple things about Anderson Cooper that tell you he's deep state is this. I know, it's pretty crazy. He had when he was in college, 2 summers in college, he interned at the CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. Who does that, right? Yeah, that's right. He's CIA. And he became famous. He had a reality show that I used to watch, and I didn't know anything about Anderson Cooper or anything at the time, and I used to watch it. Remember his reality show, The Mole? The Mole. It might have been ABC, and The Mole was out around the time that, right after Survivor became a big thing. Then everybody had reality shows. And the premise of The Mole, it was kind of like The Amazing Race with a twist. And he was the host of The Mole. You had a team of contestants who traveled the world, and along the way they would complete tasks. And if they completed the tasks, money went into the pot, and the winner would get all the money. And but one of the contestants was not really a contestant. They were working undercover for the show, sabotaging the other contestants along the way, but no one knew who the mole was. And at the end of each episode, you had to try to guess who the mole was. And then the person who guessed who the mole was at the end won the pot. That's a CIA game, The Mole. If you go back to it, doesn't that sound, that's what they do in CIA training, right, in Langley. So come on. I mean, that it's a CIA game. He's a CIA guy. And, of course, he's on the deep state network of CNN. So anyway, just so you have a little background on Anderson Cooper, when I'd say he's CIA, I don't want you to think I'm nuts and I just say stuff. I had to give a little background on that. And he's not the only one who's CIA at CNN that I know of. So anyway, here's Anderson Cooper with idiot George Clooney talking about President Trump and the future of the MAGA movement.
Do you think Trumpism lasts beyond this term?
Don't think so. I think it'd be very hard to do it. Remember this. Donald Trump is a celebrity. That's what he is. I mean, he's got a he has a star on Hollywood Boulevard. I don't have a star on Hollywood Boulevard. I'm not lobbying for one. I'm just saying,
It seems like an oversight, by the way.
hey, what's going on? He's a celebrity, and he's the president of the United States, and so he has been elected, duly elected. Fair deal. I'm not complaining about that. That's how it works. That's how this democracy works. But he's also a celebrity, and he is charming, and to the people who like him, they think he's funny.
Yes.
To a great many others, they don't. And so when he is finished, and he will be finished, they're going to have to go looking for someone who can deliver the message that he delivered with the same kind of charisma, and they don't have that.
Okay, just because you're a failed celebrity, washed up has-been, who hasn't been in anything anyone's wanted to see since 90-something, doesn't mean he's going to be in the same situation. You know what this is? You know what this is with Clooney? This is called manifestation. Otherwise, which is a fancy word for wishful thinking. If you say it enough, it'll come true, George Clooney. Is what he's thinking. It's not going to come true. Trump and the Trump family, we have our political dynasty in the MAGA movement. The Trump family, for the rest of the president's life, there will not be a Republican nominee that does not have his endorsement. And in 50 or 60 years, when he's no longer with us, his family will be making the endorsements. Even 18-year-old Kai Trump will be coming out when she's in her 40s, 50s, and above, giving endorsements to MAGA candidates for all kinds of offices, okay? So I'm sorry, no, George Clooney. The MAGA movement is the new Republican Party, and people are still going to want to watch this in 50 years, unlike the garbage that you've been in. All right, let's take a call or two before the break. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What, are you trying to hit a tapper thing and do Morse code? Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. The rest of you on hold, you hang in there. We will take calls after the top of the hour. You can hear, if you've noticed on the show over the past 3 weeks in particular, the liberals that are calling this show are losing their minds, right? If the things they're saying about President Trump were anywhere near true, like Clooney here, they would be in a much better mindset. All right, let's try another one. Hold on. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Jack from Montana.
Hey, Jack, what's on your mind?
I just wanted to talk about what exactly the deep state is. Because I hear a lot of people talking about the deep state, and I don't understand what it is. You know what it is.
The deep state are the they're made up of many people, mostly American intelligence agencies, FBI, some people in different areas of government and the bureaucracy, and they run things behind the scenes and cause a lot of havoc, like they did in Ukraine with these strikes the last couple of days to get the war blowing up. Sometimes the deep state spy on presidential candidates like they did President Trump. Sometimes the deep state shoot presidents like Kennedy and President Trump and Butler. That's the deep state in action. But you know this. You're just plain dumb for some reason. You think you got some point to make?
I just find it a little interesting that Trump is the one fighting the deep state when he was a Hollywood elite, has lots of rich friends like Jeffrey Epstein.
He was not friends with Jeffrey Epstein. That's a liberal urban legend. He was not friends with Epstein.
With him?
When you are a famous person, you take pictures with people. Yesterday, I take pictures with listeners I run into out and about all the time, sometimes at the grocery store. I took a picture yesterday with a listener at Friendly Tire. I don't do background checks and find out who people are before I take pictures. And if I take a photograph with someone, I'm not responsible for their life and what they've done. Come on.
What about Trump saying that he and Epstein both have similar interests in younger women?
That was never said by President Trump. In fact, President Trump found when President Trump found out what Epstein was all about, he banned him from Mar-a-Lago.
So
See, if you were popular, which you're not, like when you were in school, if you were popular, people want to be around you and take pictures with you. You take a picture with someone, you're responsible for everything they've done wrong in their life.
Well, when I was in school, I never hung out with convicted sex criminals.
Either did President Trump.
I never took multiple pictures.
Either did President Trump. Jeffrey Epstein was not a convicted criminal when he was in photographs with President Trump and other celebrities.
All right. In a 2002 profile for New York Magazine, Donald Trump described Jeffrey Epstein as a terrific guy, noting he's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do. And many of them
but when he was, listen, I'm up against the break. I only have 10 seconds till the top of the hour. But that was before Jeffrey Epstein was caught and busted for his pedo life. All right? Hey, listen, appreciate the call. Take care. Yeah, but if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be back after this. Now, guys, I want to tell you there's a great book. They're sponsoring today's program. This is a great book for Father's Day. It's available for free on Kindle Unlimited, but it's also available in paperback and hardcover. There is a link in the description of the video. It's The Flower Story, written about a dad, and he wrote it about his relationship with his daughter. Perfect for Father's Day. The Flower Story. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it is free, but it's also available in regular Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. And there's a link in the description of the video to the book. So you go in there, you can get the book. Yeah, they are sponsoring today's stream. About 90 seconds, we'll be back from our break. Welcome, everyone. If you're on hold, hang in there. Yes. We're back. Hour number 2 has begun. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. Our number is toll-free 1-888-465-2631. If you're just tuning in, you've missed a lot. I'll do some recapping as the show goes on. You know, this standard they have for Trump, anyone he takes a photograph with, he's responsible for anything they do in their life. And if he takes a photograph with someone, they also claim that he's had sex with them. Remember Stormy Daniels? Yeah, of course they had sex. They're in a photo together. I take photographs with so many listeners with the program, and by the way, burn all those pictures from Inauguration Day. I've lost about 40 pounds since then. You need new pictures. Contact me off the air, okay? Could you imagine if everyone you take a photograph with, you are responsible for everything they've ever done wrong in their life, And you've also had sex with them. That's the liberal standard now. Very bizarre. All right, let's take a couple calls, and then we'll get into some new stuff and recap. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, good morning. This is Jerry from Phoenix. How you doing?
All right, Jerry in Phoenix. What's up?
Hey, I'm going to just keep this short because I got to get back to work. But to all these sleeper cell little terrorists inside of America, I just want to say this. This is my rifle. This is my gun.
All right. No. We're not going to talk about that. Okay. Yeah. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Once. Twice. All right. You missed your chance. All right. The rest of you on hold, you hang in there. There's a couple of other things I want to cover. Plus, I'll recap what I talked about in the first hour in just a little bit. I wanted to pull this up. Hold on. I meant to have this queued up during the break, and I forgot to queue it up. So give me a moment, please. I want to play the audio of Jean-Pierre, okay? This is a very interesting thing about Jean-Pierre because, you know, Jean-Pierre, she's got this new book out. She claims to have left the Democrat Party. She's now an independent. Well, let me play the audio of her, then I'll tell you what I think about it. She posted this on her Instagram yesterday. You may have seen a clip of it or two on television. I'm going to play the extended version. She goes into quite a bit. Jean-Pierre talking about her book.
I am Corinne Jean-Pierre, and I am the author of a new book that's coming out this fall called Independent. It's coming out on October 21st, so please do grab it. And the reason I wrote this book, coming out of the White House, you know, serving as White House press secretary was an honor and a privilege. But since I have left, the people that come up to me, strangers that come up to me just across the country as I'm traveling, and sometimes right in my neighborhood, at a grocery store, supermarket, airport, my daughter's school, the number one question they ask me is, Corinne, how do we get out of this? How do we protect our democracy? How do we protect vulnerable communities among us? What do we do next? Because we don't have answers here. That's what they ask me. And this is my answer. And what I mean by that is, in an era of misinformation, disinformation, the regressiveness of social policy, what we're seeing currently right now, what I have decided to do, and I really have thought long and hard about this, is to follow my own compass. And that's what I've done. And that's what this book does. And here's the truth. And here's how I will lay it out to you. I think we need to stop thinking in boxes and think outside of our boxes and not be so partisan. And the way that I see moving forward in this space that we're in right now is, if you are willing to stand side by side with me, regardless of your how you identify politically, and as long as you respect the community that I belong to and vulnerable communities that I respect, I will be there with you. I will move forward with you. And that is, I think, so important. So this book, Independent, it's about looking outside of boxes, not just always being in a partisan stance. And how do we move forward together in a compassionate way, in a way that really, truly cares about people? October 21st.
Okay. Now, Jean-Pierre there, a couple of things about this, okay? She's sitting, it looks like, in a library. Is that like a school library? It's probably the Stonewall Library at some local center, wherever she lives. I don't know. And I got a question. I'm a little, see, this is very bizarre what she's doing. This is the beginning of June, right? It's June 5th. She's talking about a book that's not going to be out until October 21st. Why would she be talking about a book that's coming out so many months away? Now, she's holding the book, and this is what I'm wondering. Has the book been written and printed yet? You know, she has the cover, but did she just get the cover in the mail from the publisher for her approval or to show it off to her? And did she grab a book off the bookshelf behind her? Is she in the library because she had the book cover and she wanted to do this video and she wanted to find a book that was the same size as the cover to fit it properly? If the book is already written, why is it not coming out till October? When you're promoting a book, you don't want to promote it this far early if it's not available, because by the time it comes out on October 21st, it'll be old news. So I'm questioning whether this book has been written and she just has the cover and she fit it on a book. But here's the other thing. Her coming out right now like this is that a good question? I'd love to have her bring that book and interview her just to see if the book is, maybe it has. But I don't think that she's holding the actual book in her hand. I think she just has the cover. But I could be wrong. You know, it's like in the movies. If you're watching a movie and one of the characters is an author, they don't actually write a book for them. They just put a cover on the book that they walk around with. But there's a few things going on with Jean-Pierre that have to be talked about. She's distancing herself from the White House, from the Democrats. And she's doing this for two reasons. I think the primary reason is she's broke. I haven't seen her since she left the White House. There's a lot of reporting that she was trying to get a job on The View and they weren't interested in putting her on The View. And she's not a pundit anywhere. And these White House press people end up with very lucrative careers. Dana Perino was George Bush's press secretary. She makes $50 million a year now. I don't know who thinks she's worth $50 million a year. I'm not a big fan of hers. She's a Bush Republican, hates Trump no matter what she says. But Dana Perino makes $50 million a year at Fox. She parlayed that White House press secretary job into that. Right? We've got others that have been press secretaries that have gone on to have very lucrative careers. Jen Psaki's trying to make a go at it on MSNBC, lowly rated, but she's making good money over there on MSNBC, it's been reported. And no one wants to hire Jean-Pierre. At this point, she's probably in need of money. So she's trying. This isn't about selling books. I question whether the book's been written because all I'm seeing is the cover. And she's in this weird school library look that's behind her in this video that she released it. Okay? And she's trying to get on television. No one wants to hire her. But there's another thing, too, that she's doing this about. And it has to do with this Autopen scandal. There's no doubt she was in on the Autopen scandal because she was there in the West Wing during all of this. The West Wing is, the area where the president and the senior staff work is a very, very tiny area. Okay? And she's there every day. So while Joe Biden is smelling up the room with his adult diapers, walking around and people are leaving cocaine all over the joint, and we've got this committee of the chief of staff, Anita Dunn, and two Obama lawyers that work at the White House that are signing pardons and giving orders with the Autopen, which is a very big device. Now we're starting to see the Autopen. The Autopen is about as big as a 1980s Xerox machine. It's also about the same size as the original Edison phonograph. Okay, so it's pretty big, and it's bulky, and it's not the kind of thing that you take out and everyone doesn't know it. And now that the President Trump has ordered an investigation be done into the Autopen. He ordered Pam Bondi to do this yesterday. We've got Congress looking into it. These people are going to be questioned. And a lot of people may say, well, no one's going to jail. No one's going to jail. I don't agree with that. But even if they're not, if you're on the list of people that were involved in the Autopen, scandal, which is quite possibly the largest scandal in the history of the American presidency, and you're one of the conspirators, which there's no doubt she is, you're nervous right now. You're scared. You may go to prison. Okay? And this book, Independent, I don't know, maybe she's auditioning to get a TV gig. Maybe she's auditioning to be a cooperating witness with the Justice Department. But there's no question in my mind that she was involved in the Autopen scandal. There's no way she could not have been involved in it. Because when the Autopen was used, she's the one that had to go out and sell it and make you think it was something Biden did. Right? All right. Let's take our first break of the second hour. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. Our number is toll free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you're new, make sure you subscribe to the channel, guys. This is where MAGA comes to talk. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Yep, if you're on hold, hang in there. If you want to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. 888-465-2631. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show on this incredible Thursday morning. Our number, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? It's one of those days, guys. The liberals. Now, if you're on hold, hang in there. I tell you, these callers we're dealing with today are in a completely another plane of existence. Okay, now... this Autopen scandal is really starting to heat up. There is a real investigation going on with this. You guys got to understand, it's a difficult thing to prove. The Autopen can be used with just a verbal authorization of the president. So I understand they've got a big case to prove here, and I don't know how possible it is to prove unless somebody cracks. And the more people involved, the more likely you are to get someone who cracks under the fear of spending the rest of their lives in prison. All right? I get that. But CNN, listen to this. This is CNN talking about the Autopen last night.
Just to look at the investigation so far, so you see on your screen into Biden allegations of political interference alleged into the Hunter Biden case, the cover-up of Biden's mental fitness, the alleged cover-up, that's what they're looking at, the use of the Autopen, particularly on executive orders. What do you make of this effort?
Well, the other key difference from when Comer was trying to rally votes around impeachment and now is that Joe Biden is no longer president of the United States. So it's a very backward-looking exercise, one that will do wonders to enthuse their base and drive up online donations and get President Trump very engaged and excited on Truth Social about the Autopen.
Okay, so CNN, they actually are sitting around giggling on how absurd it is to investigate a former president. What the hell were they doing the last 4 years to Donald Trump? These people are out of their minds.
No doubt about it. There's political value in base politics here. But what exactly are Republicans going to sell to the public more broadly come November 2026 when they're trying to defend their majority about this effort? I think that remains to be seen.
You know, listen, here's the deal. America is under attack again, right? We've got Islamic terrorist attacks happening throughout the country. D.C. and then out west in Colorado's happened. There's all kinds of crimes taking place by illegals everywhere around this country. And they were all done because of that Autopen committee. And they can sit around and laugh until the end of time. There are people who are very likely going to go to jail for this. They are responsible for death and destruction. And, you know, the thing about these lawbreakers, they didn't think Trump was coming back. And even if they thought it was possible, they never dreamed he would have a tight cabinet like this, that they don't have anything under, because President Trump has taken these outsiders and put them in charge of the different government agencies. These are not people that are just taking this job in Washington leading up a government agency because they want another job or a seat in Congress after President Trump's no longer president. These are people that are loyal to Trump, the country, and the MAGA movement, and their future might be in media or something, but they're not doing what Jean-Pierre's doing, and that's auditioning for their next job. And people, as hard as it is to prove, there's a super good chance that people will go to prison. Now, this happened a couple days ago, and I didn't talk about it on the air until it was resolved a little bit, because while it's a national story, it's also a local story. A man was arrested for scaling the wall at Mar-a-Lago, and he was looking for Kai Trump, who just turned 18, who's becoming an internet sensation. Listen to this. I mean, come on. A man was detained by the U.S. Secret Service on Tuesday morning after attempting to scale the wall at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach. The man reportedly told law enforcement he wanted to marry the president's teenage granddaughter, Kai, and spread the gospel. He's 23. He was arrested by the Palm Beach police early Tuesday after attempting to enter the president's property, according to the booking records. He was initially charged with trespassing offenses, given a $1,000 bond, though it was later raised to $50,000. Why is there any bond for this? Federal charges could be soon forthcoming. President Trump was in D.C. This is what the Secret Service said. An adult male was arrested early Thursday by the Palm Beach police for unlawfully entering the Mar-a-Lago property shortly after midnight. The individual scaled a perimeter fence and triggered alarms. The U.S. Secret Service detained him without incident at the scene. Palm Beach police responded and arrested him. You know, this is insane, okay? I've had the Secret Service roll up on me over there, and I didn't get anywhere near the wall, okay? I've had it a couple times up there. There was one time I was live streaming at Mar-a-Lago on YouTube, and I ended the live stream and ran into one of our listeners that goes on our cruise, and he had never been there before. So he and I said, "Oh, let's go for a walk. I'll show you." So we were walking around Mar-a-Lago, and we were walking in front of Mar-a-Lago, and Secret Service guy jumped out of the bushes behind the gate and started talking to us and finding out what we were doing and told us what we had to do from that point forward. You know, it was pretty scary. How'd the guy get to the wall? You know, everything the wall is pretty far from the sidewalk, and they have so much security. The security, if you notice, in Trump's first term, I used to go up there all the time and make YouTube videos and do live. Sometimes I'd go up there and watch the sunrise at Mar-a-Lago, and I would stream it on YouTube. Any of you remember those videos? And I haven't done it in the second term because the security is so intense. It's not that I couldn't. I don't think it's right for me to go up there where people could see the security. I don't think the president would appreciate that, and people shouldn't do it. And a lot of those areas that I used to go to, you can't go to anymore. Okay, a lot of it's been blocked off. And the security at the airport, too, where Air Force One is, it's not like the first term. It is like a military installation up there. For the guy to get to the wall and even attempt to scale it after everything that's happened with the level of security is, to me, almost next to impossible. But, you know, here's the thing. You would think it would be next to impossible. You would think it would have been next to impossible to do what they did in Butler and at the golf course in Palm Beach. And last week, there was that video of the two female Secret Service agents who got into a fight. Did you see that? They got into an argument and a fight over something petty. They were like two girlfriends at a club. It was very bizarre. And all of these things that have happened, it shows you the damage that the liberals have done to our country with their DEI. They didn't earn it. You know, the government at these upper levels where we're supposed to have elite people are filled with these DEI didn't earn it hires. And these elite organizations just are not all that elite. And, you know, so far, there's a large police presence up there. And I went up and saw the president come back from D.C. a couple months ago and made a YouTube video about it. And it's not like the first term or even the last 4 years. Even when you're along the street, when he's driving in the Beast, in his first term, you could get right on the edge of the street, and President Trump, when there were people on the side of the road waiting for him in his first term, he would have them slow the Beast down, pull over and idle and wave at you and everything. They don't do that anymore. He drives at full speed. They have you barricaded back. The security is I mean, the heaviest security I've ever seen on anyone. I remember I saw President Clinton at something, and the security wasn't like this that when he was president. And it's because of these assassination attempts that have gone on. So for this to happen with this guy scaling the wall or attempting to scale the wall, he shouldn't have been able to get anywhere near that wall. All right, callers on hold. You stand by. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig. Our number, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be back shortly. One minute and we'll be back. All right, stand by. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. All right, let's go to the phones. I've covered quite a bit today. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Democrat. Why you always blaming us for everything, but you don't want to take responsibility for January 6th? You don't want to take responsibility for Parkland, Florida. You don't want to take responsibility for Sandy Hook. You don't want to take responsibility for you think everybody commit crime and y'all don't. White people have been committing crime in this country since the beginning of this.
So I don't understand on you said excuse me.
We don't wear shirts.
You said January.
All
right, you're on hold. You said January 6th. We don't take responsibility for that. President Trump said, peacefully let your voice be heard. What are we supposed to take responsibility for?
See? Scary ass.
You won't stop talking. That's not a conversation. What are we responsible for? What am I scared of? What am I scared of?
You're scared.
Of
You're
what?
Scared of free speech. You hate free speech, dude. You hate free speech. Stop blaming.
All right, hate free speech. Okay, thank you very much. The only thing I worry about in regards to the program, there's only one thing. Boring the audience. I don't mind lunatic liberal callers, but you have to be able to engage in conversation. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm from Elise Stefanik's district.
Okay.
And I wanted to see how you felt about Putin buying Trump coin.
I don't know that that's true.
Oh, I know it's true.
But if it's true, I would think that Trump would not allow it. How do you know it's true? Where can I look it up? I'll look it up online. Where can I look it up?
We all know it's true.
No, not where can I find it? Where can I find it? You said Putin bought Trump coin.
He's the richest man on earth.
No, excuse me. You said Putin bought Trump coin. Where can I find that story? Where can I find that story?
Can you give me a
Where can I find the story?
I'm telling you the story.
No. Where can I find a news story?
I am the news source.
Who are you? You with CNN?
I'm the news source.
No, that's not a news source.
So let's play a hypothetical.
No, we're talking real things here, not hypotheticals.
Do you think Putin would not buy Trump coin?
This is what I think. I just Googled it. There's no news story about this anywhere on the internet. The media hate Trump like the plague. If this were true, it would be the lead story everywhere. Oh, he hung up. The call, I did not hang up on him. The line went dead. the line went dead. Putin bought Trump. If Putin bought Trump coin, that's all the media would be talking about. By the way, it would be illegal for him to do that because the Trump coin is an American company, and you cannot do any business with Russian money. You can't do financial transactions with Russia. It is illegal. You know, what really blows my mind with liberals, and you know, this is not new with liberals, okay? Liberals have always been this way. They don't care about the truth. They just make stuff up. And it's right out of Goebbels' playbook. If you repeat a lie often enough, people will believe it. You know, if you happen to have traveled to Russia prior to the invasion of Ukraine, and you have some Russian rubles left over that you got over there, you cannot take them to a bank and exchange them for U.S. money. You can't go and buy Russian rubles. So if Putin bought Trump coin, that would be an illegal transaction. Okay? That would not be allowed. And if it happened somehow, all the media would be talking about would be that. So it doesn't surprise me that the guy, and what was this thing that he hung up? What was this thing? I'm the news source. I'm calling from Elise Stefanik's district. What does that even mean? If he's in Elise Stefanik's district, what does that mean? You know, my congressional district is that of a Democrat. I got a Democrat who's my voice in the House. Right? What does that mean? But, you know, no matter what era we're in, Democrats always lie. They're allergic to the truth. And I'll tell you, there's something very strange going on in Arizona with Katie Hobbs. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs vetoed a bill preventing China from buying land near U.S. military bases in the state of Arizona. Someone needs to look into that, into her. You know, yesterday, the day before yesterday, the story broke. We were talking about it yesterday. China just had this, what did they call it? Agro-terrorism, attempted attack on the United States. It was an attempted attack on our food supply. China's been buying up not just land near military bases, but farmland all over the country. The land near military bases are for spying. We all know this. And the farmland, well, you know, control of the farmland isn't just control over the food supply. It's control over the economy. You know, as an example, right? You know, I don't know what kind of farmland they're buying, but let's just say they're buying up farmland like crazy. It should all be seized. I would love to see President Trump sign an executive order immediately ordering the federal government to seize all Chinese-owned land in this country. They should not own a square inch of U.S. territory. They're not owning it for anything other than either spying on us or disrupting us. So let's just say the farms that they own, the crop, they own a lot of corn. It could be any crop, but they're buying farmland. What if they just don't grow corn or make sure that the corn goes rotten? What have they done? They've caused an economic impact on corn. Corn goes up. And corn's used in ethanol. It could have not just an effect on our food supply, but our economy. Look at what the eggs have done. And I was asking the question yesterday. One of our sponsors texted me about this during the show yesterday. That do you think after this agro-terrorism that they were busted with, do you think it's possible they had something to do with the egg prices? I would not be surprised. So when Katie Hobbs vetoes a bill preventing China from buying land near military bases, what type of government official does that? My guess would be a government official who's on the take with the CCP. Now, I don't know if Katie Hobbs is, but shouldn't it be investigated? Maybe when Dan Bongino's done telling us that there's nothing to see here with Jeffrey Epstein, he can get involved in some real crimes. Why is Katie Hobbs vetoing this? This is incredibly popular. This is in the Gateway Pundit. Arizona's Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs has vetoed a bill that would prevent the Chinese Communist Party from buying land near strategic assets such as military bases. It really seems like Democrats are hell-bent on doing everything they can do to weaken the United States. Yeah. Fox News reporting, Katie Hobbs, who is up for re-election next year, garnered backlash on Tuesday after vetoing a bill aimed at preventing China from buying up land next to strategic assets such as military bases. She's up for re-election next year. Why would the governor who's up for re-election veto such a bill that was just passed by her state legislature? The only reason I could think of is there's a CCP connection. This needs to be investigated. The Arizona State Senate Majority Leader said the politically motivated veto was insane. She says Hobbs is an obstructionist. Hobbs said this is ineffective at counter-espionage and did not directly protect American military assets. If they're buying land near a military asset, they're doing a couple things. It's to spy. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to necessarily set up a listening post. They'll send out their honeypots to have sex with men who work on the base to get information. This is how it happens, okay? My goodness. We know they've done this. There's members of Congress who have been caught up in the honeypots. Remember Fang? And it's happened to Republicans. Remember the Russians had that honeypot at the NRA convention that was seducing men? You know, Judge Merchan's back in the news today. He's the corrupt judge that convicted Trump on those fake things in his corrupt courtroom. He's the judge whose daughter raised $100 million on the promise of putting Trump in prison, and he left seats open and reserved for her in his courtroom so she could bring clients in to see Trump on trial. I mean, this guy's corrupt, right? Yesterday, he got a case, and he made a ruling stopping Trump from deporting more Venezuelan gang members. This is his... I've lost track. But Judge Merchan has gotten 4 or 5 Trump cases that are supposed to be randomly assigned to judges in that district. How are they always landing on Merchan at the random assigning of these Trump cases? Bongino, can you stop trying to say nothing to see here about espionage and go look at Merchan? He's got another Trump case. Supposed to be randomly assigned. Something's going on, Bongino. Do you mind? Could you do that, Bongino? If it's not too much trouble. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, you hung up on me before.
Your phone line went dead.
Okay, I'll take your word for it, but I didn't hang up on you.
Well, okay, but I'm not going to take your word. Now, let me just recap the conversation, okay, for those that missed it prior. You made the claim, without any information to back it up, that Vladimir Putin personally bought the Trump coin. Okay, I asked you repeatedly to cite a news story, which you said you're the news source. It is illegal. Right. It is illegal to do business with Russia. Okay, to take rubles for Trump coin would be a major federal crime. Not one, and as we were talking, I did some looking for this. Not a single news outlet has reported it.
Right. Do you think Trump does not own Bitcoin? Or I'm sorry.
No. We're not talking. We're not talking about Bitcoin. I own Bitcoin. What you said was that you said Putin bought Trump coin.
Putin owns Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is not Trump coin. Trump coin is not Bitcoin. Well, if somebody finds if someone finds a way, hold on. If that story were true and verifiable, MSNBC and CNN would be all over it. There's not a single story.
Brian, he's the richest man on earth. I'm sure there's a way he can end up buying Trump coin.
But no, that's not what you said. You said he did it, which would be a crime.
He did do it.
Then cite the news story. Cite the news story.
He would have to.
All right, now this time I am hanging up on you because it's time for a break. Give me one liberal news story. We'll talk about it. He said he's the news source, he says. We'll be right back. Hey, Barry, it's Brian. Hey, I'm going to put you on hold. I'll be with you shortly. Hold on. We are back. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, and it's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. What do you have for us today?
Well, we have some exciting news at the Siegel Law Group. One of the things, of course, we do the estate planning, living trust seminars on a regular basis, and we've been doing those for a long time. But we've been getting a lot of requests for two things, and we're going to do both of them now. People have been asking us to bring back our seminars on Medicaid planning, so we can go really into depth, and so you can learn about it and learn how that works. And we're also going to be doing it on a Saturday morning.
Oh.
We usually do them on Tuesday and Thursdays, but some people say we work, we can't make it at those times, so we're going to do Saturday morning, June 21st at 10 a.m. And really, the question is, what would happen if the cost of long-term care drained everything you've ever worked for in your entire life to build? So this seminar is going to address those issues, whether you're still healthy and planning ahead, or you're watching a loved one already spend down their savings to pay for their care. This Medicaid seminar would be for you. So we'd like you to join us and learn how to protect your home and your life savings, avoid going broke in a nursing home, and dismiss any of the myths about Medicaid once and for all. Most people don't realize that they can qualify for help with the right plan. This seminar will give you the tools and secure your future and your families. Of course, seats are limited. Your listeners right now are going to be the first ones to know about this.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I said, seats are limited. RSVP today and take the first step toward peace of mind.
Now, this is Saturday, June 21st. Where's it going to be?
It's going to be in Boca Raton at our office.
Okay.
At our office on Military Trail.
That's great, and I'm sure your loyal staff must be so excited they get up on Saturday morning, huh? They must be excited.
Yeah, that was an issue, but we have a great team, and we got it.
But let me tell you, if you could text me about that, Barry, after when you get a chance, because I don't want to forget that, because I don't recall you ever doing a Saturday workshop, and I want to make sure our listeners know. Another thing about the workshops, other than you get all this great information from Barry, okay, I think a part of the value, Barry, is that people get to meet you and your team. And, because you're putting you and your family's future in someone's hands, it's nice to get to know them a little bit. And your staff, while Saturday may not be their morning to come to work typically, they're very pleasant, very organized, and very knowledgeable, and are also there to answer your questions. And I think you'll be pretty impressed with the staff as well. So it's June 21st, Saturday, at the main office of the Siegel Law Group in Boca on Military Trail. Here's the number. Call and reserve your spot. And because it's at the office, the seating is limited. 855-FLA-3782. 855-FLA-3782, and online, SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, we will talk tomorrow.
All right, I'll look forward to it. Thank you so much.
All right, take care. All right, we're back. I want to talk about this, okay? What the last guy did is it's a very interesting thing that happened, okay? And this is something that's very typical of liberals, okay? What he talked about is a liberal fantasy. And if you missed the call, the guy called in, and did you notice his question? He called in, "What's your name? Where are you calling from?" I said, and his response was, I'm in Elise Stefanik's district, whatever that means, okay? I guess that figures it gives him credibility. He says, "How do you feel about Putin buying Trump coin?" I asked him several times to cite his source. He says he's the news source. And then he hangs up. Then he calls back. I put him back on. I knew it was him. I put him back on because I wanted to hear the rest of it. And then he says, well, Putin probably owns Bitcoin and he probably could do some workaround. It is illegal to do any business with Russia. Okay? You can't do any business with Russia. You can't do any, especially with their currency. So what's the guy trying to get me to do? He's trying to get me to discuss all these hypotheticals about it, and the liberals are propagandists. And then that starts a discussion, and the next thing you know, there's people in this audience who say, oh, Putin owns Trump coin. Nothing could be further from the truth. And if he did, he bought it illegally. My goodness. These people on the left. And it shows you how little they have on this great president, that they have to make things up about him. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air.
Jay from Jersey.
Yeah, see, this is Jay trying to act like it's no big deal to call in and be on the air, so he's trying to act casual. Oh, yeah, it's me, Jay from Jersey. Yeah, the way you answer the phone, you're like, oh, it's Jay from Jersey. What's on your mind, Jay?
Okay, I don't even know where to start with your craziness. Okay, you just to go back up just what you were just talking about. You lie every day. You make up stuff that you think Trump done, like he's actually talked to you, and you were sitting in the room with him, and you know every single thing he does. You know who he had sex with, who he didn't, and everything. So you lie every day. So that man saying he's talking about it and don't know about it, you do the same thing.
Give me an example. Okay. You say I lie every day. What lie did I tell today?
Let's tell a lie you told yesterday.
Okay. Yesterday's close.
You give an example. The lie you told yesterday. Oh, don't believe that Elon Musk and Trump are falling out. They're still big buds. The president is pissed off of what Elon Musk
Okay,
said.
now slow down, Joe. Slow down, Jay. Slow down, Jay. First off, even if I was incorrect, that's not a lie. What you're talking about...
Yes, it is.
Calm down. Calm down. Don't sound so hysterical, okay? I mean, come on. What you're confusing someone being incorrect. Lying is knowingly telling something that's false, okay? I'm giving you my analysis on the situation. Last night on Newsmax, which is credible, they ran with the story that I had and said that Trump is... This was one of the anchors on Newsmax said yesterday that President Trump is playing four-dimensional chess, 4D chess. I said dimensional because you might not know what the D stands for. That with Elon Musk, and that Trump is trying to kill his own bill on purpose with Elon Musk. It was a whole discussion on Newsmax yesterday. So it's not just me. A lot of MAGA people think that's what's going on. That's not knowingly telling a lie.
Came back out and said two or three more things that has pissed Trump off. But you didn't know if it was right or wrong. You still said it.
What?
You didn't know what was going on. So
what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
The same thing we were just talking about that you just tried not talking about.
See, you're just hysterical. I haven't heard Elon Musk say a negative word about Donald Trump.
You know he's talking about that big, nasty, disgusting bill.
No.
You know he's talking
Trump
about
is not.
it.
The bill is a bill that Congress put together and passed, not President Trump.
And I told you.
And he's not said it. And Elon has not said a negative word about President Trump.
Okay, I told you in the beginning when Trump and Elon Musk when they first got elected, when Elon Musk was president and Trump was sitting there looking like a fool. I told you they were going to fall out. I told you I was going to throw that back at you. I told you they were going to fall out.
There's no
Because
falling
two
out.
crazy
When
left
President?
yesterday.
Listen, hold on.
Okay, I'm gonna tell
Elon
you
Musk.
another lie
Hold
you told
on.
yesterday.
Elon Musk has not said a negative word about Trump, and this bill was not written by Trump. He's talked about
Okay, let me give
congressmen
you
and
the
a
second-
bill
I'm
written
gonna
by
give you the
Congress.
second lie you told yesterday. I'm gonna give you
Well,
the
no,
second
there
lie-
was no
another
first
you
lie.
told
We're still
yesterday.
waiting. We're still waiting for the first lie.
Okay, you think it's not a lie, but I know it is. Here's the second lie. Somebody called you up and told you. You know for a fact, because everybody's talking about it, and you see how bizarre he acts. Elon Musk is a junkie.
A junkie?
And you know that. Everybody's talking about it.
What drug is he on?
He's on everything. You see
How
him
do you know
sitting
this?
bugging
No,
out
there
and-
was
and eyes
there was a
blinking, head rolling
there
up
was
in
a
the
story
air.
there was a story last week that made that accusation in the New York Times, and Elon has denied it. Do you have evidence that he's doing illegal drugs?
You can see he's doing illegal drugs.
What do you mean you can
but
see?
You don't want to see the truth.
What has he done? Well, hold on a second. What has he done that displays junkie-like behavior?
Okay, he stands there with his head twisting back and forth like what's his
I've
name?
never seen him. I've never seen him do that.
Everybody has seen it. They play the memes over and over
People
again
that are
all the
drug
time.
addicts are self-destructive. What has he done that's self-destructive?
Because he stands. Look, okay, forget that. Let me talk.
Oh, so you're
about
gonna
what I
withdraw
called
that
about.
chain?
Let's go there.
Okay.
And see, I bet you won't answer this one. I can guarantee you. I bet money on it that you won't answer it. I told you last week that Trump changed the flag on every government site. Did you look?
No.
Why?
You didn't say
did
that.
you look?
You said last week that he changed the flag of the United States. Now yeah. All right. Appreciate the call. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now I want to tell you guys about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. You know, I thought losing weight was hard, and I thought it would be impossible. That I'd have to starve myself. I'd have to exercise. If exercise was a requirement, I was doomed to fail because, you know, I remember when I met with Dr. Zuckerman the first time at Coastal Weight Loss Secret, and he told me, you know, he told me the secret. He'll tell you the secret too when you go take advantage of the no charge consult. But you know, the thing about it is, if I said, thank the Lord, Doc. I said, if exercise was a requirement, I'd fail because I couldn't exercise. I see these people in my neighborhood, 4:30, 5 in the morning. They're out speed walking and jogging. Forget about it. So no exercise. I haven't starved myself. I'm not taking any prescription medication like Ozempic, and I lost all this weight. And those of you that watch me online on YouTube, you've seen it. I'm a lot less of a man than I was just a couple months back. You know, the first day I met with Doc over at Coastal Weight Loss Secret was Inauguration Day. I met with him. That was the first time I met with him before I went to Wings Plus on Inauguration Day that day. And I started Coastal Weight Loss Secret the Monday after Inauguration Day because I was going to visit my daughter in California. And, you know, and I was like, I can't do it. I'll start when I get back. So I met with doctors. We went through everything and boom, I lost about a pound a day. It's absolutely amazing. You can take advantage of this no matter where you're located in the United States. And I know a lot of you around America have. Call Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. Back after this. If you're on hold, hang in there. See, the reason that Jay from Jersey is so upset is because he has all these delusions that he wants to believe. And when somebody's crazy and delusional and you question their delusions, they lose their minds. Less than a minute, we'll be back. The third hour has begun. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. My name's Brian Craig. Excuse me. We have covered a lot today. Let's go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Cumberland, Maryland.
Okay, what's on your mind?
A question about Elon.
Okay, what's the question?
He's changed, I think. I'm for Trump.
Who's changed?
Elon Musk.
How so? Looks like the same person to me.
He's not for the big, beautiful bill.
Well, President Trump may not be for the big, beautiful bill in its current form. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, they put a lot of things in there that, President Trump didn't write this bill. These Republicans in Congress wrote this bill. It's called the big, beautiful bill, but it's not the big, beautiful bill that Trump wanted. It's got a lot of things in there that he doesn't want.
Okay. Yeah, I'm for Trump all the way.
Well, good.
I hope he runs in 2028, too.
Yeah, and I hope he runs in 2032 and 2036 and 2040. I'm fine with that. All right, appreciate the call. See the damage that the media does to people? That woman is hardcore MAGA, and even she thinks that something's going on here. See how powerful repeating these lies can be if they're not countered? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, the law of Lake Worth. Hey, did that big sexy bill pass yet?
The big sexy bill? I don't know what you're talking about. Something involving sex?
No, the big beautiful one.
You know the answer.
Did it get passed?
You know the answer.
I heard from someone yesterday that it did. I looked it up online. I didn't really find any.
You know it hasn't. You know the answer to that. Why are you pretending not to know the answer? Why are you asking me a question that you know the answer to? You're trying to be funny. You're trying to be cute. What are you trying to do?
No, I'm trying to verify. I'm verifying.
You're trying to verify? What are you trying to verify?
Did it get passed or not? Very
I'm gonna.
Yes,
okay, I'll play along. Not yet.
No. Go ahead, Brian. Oh, not yet? Oh, well, all right. Okay. All right. I thought it did get passed. I was told, I did a research, and I didn't really come up with a conclusion based on Google. Okay, so it did not pass.
If it passes, you won't have to Google it. It'll be what everyone's talking about.
Well, I just heard the other day from somebody 2 days ago that, hey, it passed. So
no, it passed. It passed in the House. Now it's in the Senate.
Okay, thank you. All right. See, I'm not playing dumb. I'm out of the loop here.
Okay.
So it did not pass. All right, so the information I got was not correct. All right, because they're saying, "Oh yeah,
No, well,
you're
I mean,
not going to get taxed."
it has passed in the House. Now the Senate has to pass it.
Okay, can they alter it at this point?
Yeah, it'll be altered many times before it makes it to President Trump's desk, if it ever does.
Thank God. So where are we as far as taxing on overtime?
Well,
Did we change
that
anything
is
there?
in the bill. When President Trump signs the bill into law, there'll be no tax on tips.
But is there something to the extent let's say no tax on overtime up to $10,000? Is that what it is?
We don't know
tax at all?
because the bill has not been finalized yet. So we don't know if there'll be a cap or not.
Okay. Hopefully not. That'll change lives overnight,
Well, even if there's a cap of $10,000, it's life-changing money. That's $10,000. That's $10,000 of untaxed income.
Yeah, better than nothing. You're right. Yeah.
No, it's not better than nothing. It's a lot.
It is, yeah, but can you imagine if there's no cap at all? Whew, that's even better,
Well,
I'm working 70, 75-hour weeks, so lots of overtime, and it's being taxed, and it hurts to look at it. It's like ridiculous. One other thing I wanted to mention, real quick. You said that maybe you didn't say all, but illegal immigrants are able to get Medicaid, and that's not the case because.
Oh yes, it is the case. In fact, it came up. There was a. They're not supposed to, but they illegally do it. In fact, yesterday.
How do they do that?
Well, I'm not a criminal. I don't, and even if I knew how to do it, I wouldn't broadcast it over the air on how to commit financial crimes like that. But there was last night there was a debate on television in New York City for those that are running for mayor. And one of the topics that came up was all the illegals. There's one. It was either 1.4 or 1.7 million illegals are on Medicaid. And one of the topics they were talking about were all the illegals that are on Medicaid in the New York City mayoral debate yesterday. That was on local television in New York. Yeah.
Okay, well, this is very unfair because you might remember I have an illegal immigrant girlfriend. She's pregnant. And we tried to get Medicaid, and we didn't qualify because her Social Security number was invalid.
Well, wait a minute. You've got a girlfriend that is committing a crime. She's a criminal.
She is, yeah, unfortunately, and I'm a criminal as well, unfortunately here. But once that baby's born, then the baby needs to be born here in the U.S.
What is you're confessing to a federal crime publicly? Come on, you're pulling my leg. You're not for real.
No, this. Yeah, previously you said that I was lying.
Should I give your phone number to Tom Homan?
It would be nice if you did not. but the point is, we were not able to get Medicaid.
Yeah, well, you were. So now you're telling me, what's the crime you're committing? Your girlfriend's committing identity theft, right? She has somebody else's Social Security number.
No, it's just a Social Security card.
So she has a fraudulent federal document that she's passing off. Okay, so that's a federal crime. You said you're a criminal too. What's your crime? Oh my goodness.
Harboring a fugitive.
You're harboring a federal fugitive.
Well, she's a very excellent person. No drinking, no smoking. She's
Listen. I could sit here and rant and rave and do a whole rap on your situation, but I just don't believe you. You called in with this a few weeks ago. Who would call in? Excuse me. Who would call a program and confess to multiple federal crimes? It's not even credible. No one's that stupid. You'd have to be high like Hunter at that hotel room in Beverly Hills to do something that stupid.
If you just go to Lake Worth there, right?
Oh, now you're telling me how to catch you. You know what I think's going on with no. Now you know what he's doing now? I don't believe it. Now he's trying to direct us to someone else. right? He's trying to direct this fictitious crime onto someone else because he was going to say, you just go here, you just go there. Oh my goodness. You know, I can't get myself to get involved in a discussion with someone. You know, I started this new term, with these callers. I called a lot of these people cosplay callers, where, you know, and this is not new to call-in radio shows. People have been calling radio shows for years with these fake backgrounds, you know, this fake jobs, fake career, fake lives, you know, all this kind of stuff. And I have heard so many people over the years. I used to do this myself. Before I was on the air, and I fell into, you know, not going to do with This Is Your Life, but how I got on the radio. I used to call radio stations all the time and go on the air. I was kind of like a chronic caller when I was young to every type of radio station and every station in the market. And sometimes it would be DJs calling in. I would call in during contests. I called in and sang on the air on Sonny Fox's show on Y100 a couple times. They had this thing, if you called in singing from the shower, you could win something or other. And I didn't sing in the shower. I sang next to the sink with the water running and everything, and you know, he did. But and eventually I found my way into radio stations by being a caller. But people call in with these fake backgrounds all the time, and I just can't get myself, when somebody does that, to go on some rap on this fictitious thing. And his lies are so stupid and fantastical. I'd sound like an idiot if I was doing that. And I started this thing calling these people cosplay callers, where they're with this whole fictitious background and everything. It's nonsense. All right, I'd like to talk to some real people, though. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. I want to tell you about Jupiter Joe Thomas and annuities. You know, the thing about Joe Thomas and annuities, it's just amazing. I don't know why everyone's not invested in annuities. Your money is never at risk, and you're guaranteed income for the rest of your life in your retirement. That sounds like a pretty good idea to me, right? I don't like all this stuff of stocks up, stocks down, losing money. And today, everyone has their financial portfolios on an app on their phone, and people get really upset. Oh my goodness, I lost $58,000 today. You know, I mean, it's, you ever had that happen or know someone that tells you that? With Jupiter Joe and annuities, that'll never be a problem because you'll never lose money, and you've got that revenue stream. And he offers free consultations, which you can take advantage of no matter where you're located in the United States. And he's a top guy in the industry. He's been in the retirement planning business for over 30 years, and he's a 5-time qualifying member of the $1 Million Roundtable, which is achieved by fewer than 1% of all the financial advisors in the world. So he doesn't just have over 30 years of experience, he's a top man in the industry. Give him a call and take advantage of that no-charge consultation. He'll also send you a free copy of his book, 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And if you missed the number, just go to his website, jupiterjoe.com. We'll be right back. We're back in 2 minutes. If you're on hold, hang in there. Thank you, Indo Wars. Appreciate that. We'll be back in about 30 seconds. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, guys. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. Okay, this next thing here that I got to cover, it pains me to do this. I do not want to share the story that I'm about to share with you. But I don't want to be like the Democrats. You know, when the Democrats have people that are doing wrong and stupid things, they don't call them out. And I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be a yes man. Bongino did another interview. And, you know, I don't... You know, guys, some of you, I've gotten feedback from people. Why are you giving Bongino a hard time? Why are you giving Cash a hard time? Because they haven't done anything. Every department under President Trump has done everything that they were put in place to do and then some, except the Justice Department. Okay? Except the Justice Department. Let me play this clip. This is Bongino. He went on Fox again last night.
Let me ask you about, are you going to be looking into, Cash and Pam, any potential collusion between the DOJ, Letitia James, the novel legal theory of Alvin Bragg, or Nathan Wade, or Fani Willis and the DOJ? Is that something? Has anything come up? Is there any way to determine whether or not evidence was destroyed in any of these cases?
Well, there's always a way to determine that. I don't want to comment on that specific case right now for a reason. I don't want to get ahead of the Department of Justice on that. But I want to say this. You know, the FBI obviously has the public corruption portfolio. And yes, if you are a corrupt politician out there, if you are engaged in behavior, you know what you're doing, we're going to find you. I promise. No one is going to get off. The days of selecting and putting your partisan bias on and taking care of your friends, those days are over. You know what, Sean? I don't have any friends. I don't want any friends. Well, maybe outside of you and a couple of, I don't care. I didn't come here for the money. I didn't come here to make, I know.
No, you didn't go there for the money. I can tell people that for sure.
No, I didn't come here to make friends. I don't give a damn about friends. I don't have any friends. I don't want any friends. I got my wife, I got you, and I got a small crew of people. So I don't need any friends. If
you want a friend in D.C., get a dog.
We're coming for you.
That'll help.
Yeah, exactly. Right, you want a friend in D.C., right? Go get a Labradoodle like I have, because they're on.
Okay, yeah, get a Labradoodle. Okay, he says if you're a public official doing corruption, we'll come after you. Enough of this. We're gonna. How about doing something? Right? You ever heard that old saying? Those who do. Those who can't, teach, and those who can't teach Jim or something. Remember that old thing? Enough of these promises. We're coming up on 3 weeks since the rivers were going to flow, and we've got nothing. The biggest thing we have is he's telling us now that there's no conspiracy with Epstein. Okay, I know. Okay, another week of that. This ruling yesterday with Mershon, Judge Mershon, it pains me. It really, truly pains me to share these stories about Dan Bongino. It really does. And some of you may not think it does, okay? But it does. Because I want them to do what they were put in place to do. Judge Mershon ruled yesterday, ordered that President Trump cannot deport another group of Venezuelans. Judge Mershon from the Trump trial, the daughter that raised $100 million, he's got, I looked it up, it's not 4 or 5, it's 4. He's gotten 4 cases of Trump's randomly assigned to him in New York. That is impossible, statistically. Plus the $100 million. You want to go corrupt, go to him. He's a federal judge, Bongino. I mean, I really don't like these stories. Here's the thing, okay? When you talk about stories as opposed to, like when you're doing a show like this, when you talk about stories, there has to be a story. There has to be an update. So I'm not here every day just going off on Dan Bongino or that story that I had earlier with Mark Levin. Something has happened. He keeps doing stupid interviews and saying stupid things. And every time I've talked about Bongino, it's been because he's done a stupid interview, usually on Fox, all of them. This is the third one. Bartiromo, Fox and Friends, and now Sean Hannity. And he says stupid things. And Steve's right about Hannity. He hasn't stopped talking while his guests are talking. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Ron, Lake Worth.
Yeah, Lake Worth. What's on your mind?
Brian, you need to chill out. These investigations take time. Remember, Cash and Bongino did not come in at the same time as Trump. They had to get approved.
Yeah.
Okay? And that was a few months after. Investigations, you got to dot your I's and cross your T's. I was in law enforcement.
Listen, I'm not talking.
They're going to hit a wall sometimes with some of these investigations.
Some of them.
There's 100
Listen,
investigations
hold on
going
a second here. Hold on a second. I'm not talking about arrest, trials, convictions, and people behind bars. What I'm talking about is, let us know, 2.5 weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago now, Kash Patel said, give us a week or two, and the flow of everything will be out there. Nothing. Okay? Nothing.
Half the stuff they don't want to tell you.
Well, then stop going on TV and promising.
Then
Then stop going on TV and promising. Tom Homan's doing some serious investigation and kicking in doors and arresting people. They got that El Salvador prison set up, Homeland Security, in about 10 minutes. I think, Dan, I think, what did you do in law enforcement?
I worked for the Sheriff's Department,
Okay,
38 years.
What did you do? What was your during their main time there? What'd you do?
Detective, road patrol, yes.
Okay, that's awesome. I don't think Dan Bongino is a street cop like you. I think his street cop thing that he was portraying on his program, I think he's a poser. I know he was a New York cop for a while. I know he was Secret Service for a while. But all he talks about is sitting in a room staring at 4 walls reading reports. I don't think he knows how to be a cop like you. Like you're a detective. You know, you're a Sheriff's Department detective. If you had his job, you would be up there questioning people around Mershon. And because you'd be high profile,
Brian,
people would
time,
know.
Patience. It will come. It will come.
How much time?
Believe me. It's not. They haven't been in office that long, and there's so many people that they're going after. These things take time. You got to put these packages together.
Then why?
They got to make sure they got a strong case.
Do you?
So they
okay.
gotta prosecute.
Why do they keep going on Fox promising things that don't happen?
Well, I think that's to appease the public and let them know that they're still doing something.
It pisses people off. They keep saying they're
I
not
know,
doing
but
anything.
We can't be impatient. Give it time. It's coming. Believe me. And then I'll call you back.
Well, I want to be wrong, right? I want to be wrong.
You are wrong.
I want to be able to come in one day and say, wow, Judge Mershon and his daughter have been arrested for major financial crimes during the Trump trial. And I was wrong about Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. They were doing this all along, and I'll apologize. But come on.
Brian, you're a great radio guy. I love listening to you.
But-
okay? You're very informative.
But
you're not law enforcement. Give it time, please.
Well, the question
It'll
is,
happen.
but the question is Dan Bongino real law enforcement, or is he a poser?
Well, he was Secret Service and he was NYPD. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and there's other people
but there's-
that know
but
more
there's-
than him
but
that
the-
are involved with the FBI.
But there's different.
So,
But you listen, as a veteran police officer, okay, and a detective and all of that, you know, there's different kinds. Like you're probably like a street cop kind of guy, and you know, there's guys that never leave the office and they don't know how to go out and do patrol or something, right? So that's the question: is he one of those kind of cops, or is he a real cop like you? That's the question.
remember, he's got hundreds of people, 100 investigators that probably been in law enforcement for 20 years that are actually going to do all the legwork.
Okay. Hey, listen.
So he's just.
I got to run, but I
he's
appreciate
just a
the call.
quarterback.
Okay, he's the deputy director of the FBI. That's a pretty big deal. You know, Tom Homan.
Yes.
Tom Homan has no official authority or people under him, and he's out taking charge as borders are, giving orders to federal
his is
agents.
His is black and white. You're either illegal or you're not. Grab the illegals, grab the criminal.
It's
illegal,
easier.
Take them away. That's simple.
Okay, Judge Merchan's daughter, $100 million, promising to put Trump in jail.
Yeah, she's probably on the hit. She's probably on the hit parade.
Well, we'll
It's
find out.
coming,
All
bro.
right, I got to
Brian.
run. Appreciate the call. Dr. Zuckerman over at Coastal Weight Loss Secret, he sent me a video of someone who lost 88 pounds with Coastal Weight Loss Secret. And I don't know. Dr. Zuckerman probably doesn't know this, but this guy that lost 88 pounds used to be my boss when I worked at 940 WINZ in Miami. And he's lost 88 pounds. That's absolutely amazing. He was always overweight, and he looks great now. It's a video of him in the gym. He went to the gym. I didn't go to the gym, but he lost more weight than I did. Let me tell you, Coastal Weight Loss Secret, it works, guys. It works. It's amazing. I've never been on any type of diet ever. And I'll tell you another thing. I saw, I'm so glad I lost this weight thanks to Coastal Weight Loss Secret because, I mentioned earlier we did our inauguration day event at Wings Plus, and a lot of you sent me pictures or tagged me on Instagram, and I got to tell you, I'm embarrassed by those pictures. I really, truly am embarrassed by those pictures. I did not, a lot of times when you gain weight like I had done, you don't realize it because you see yourself every day in the mirror, and it happens gradually. And I look like a completely different person. I have definition to my face and chin, my neck, my stomach's flat. I've lost many inches off my waist. It is absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. When you do, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. And again, you don't have to be local here in South Florida. No matter where you're located, they can help you lose weight. And, I lost almost 40. My old boss here lost 88 pounds. But maybe you want to lose 25 or 20 pounds or 200 pounds or even more. Coastal Weight Loss Secret can help you do just that. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. Call us on hold, stand by. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, hang in there, guys. We'll be back shortly. About 1 minute. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. All right, back to our phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. This is Alex. I'm from Texas. How are you?
I'll let you know after our conversation. Okay, that's nice. Okay, I don't quite get that one, but I'll answer his question. I'm not doing well. That was. I knew from his voice that was not going anywhere. Now, I want to ask you guys a question. I just was looking at some more video of Mike Pompeo with a smile from ear to ear walking around Kiev in the Ukraine. I'm not going to use all these liberal Kiev. It's Kiev. Okay? He's walking around. I'm going to ask you a serious question here. Mike Pompeo's walking around Kiev, grinning from ear to ear, shaking hands with, I don't know, Ukrainians all over the joint. Is it a coincidence that that's going on right after these super advanced, sophisticated strikes against Russia, the bridge and the bombers? This guy, you know what he looks like? He looks so happy. You know what he looks like to me? He looks like one of those guys that won the lottery. The same week, by the way, that Lindsey Graham supposedly paid $400,000 for a hotel room. Really? Is that how much the hotel charged? How much did the hotel room cost, and where did the rest of the money go, Lindsey? Could somebody ask him that? Oh, hold on. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
You're right. I think you're right because, Bongino, I'm just wondering who picked him. I'm just wondering. Could be a poser.
Well, he I would imagine it was the president. I mean, he seemed all right to me. I've been watching him the last few years, and he seems like a pretty tough guy and a cop, and said we got to get to the bottom of it and these cover-ups of Epstein and everything. So he talked his way into the big job.
You think it's a big act and the Fox circle?
Well, I'm starting to think that's what I said the last call. I am starting to think he's obviously he was a cop and a Secret Service agent, but that's a big difference. But Tom Homan, he was a big deal too, but he's like real police. Look at him, right? There's real police, and then there's the guys that work in the offices.
And let's say they got him. Let's say they got these deep staters and all that. They got him on treason. They don't have to get a grand jury or anything like that. They just take them straight to the. Let me
give you an example. I am not the only MAGA guy that's upset with Cash and Bongino. A lot of people are talking about it, not just me. Okay. And Dan Bongino knows that. That's why he was so depressed on Fox and Friends the other day. He knows he walked away from this. He was making like $1 million a month with his show, according to some reports. He walked away for this low six-figure job. He's blown his reputation. If he, at this point, he portrayed himself to be like a Tom Homan type. If he was the real deal, he'd go out and find somebody to show that he's the real deal. He wouldn't go around like this all the time.
Well, what's the process like when they grab these guys?
Well, I know, like I remember when the feds got Roger Stone, they called up CNN, they busted in the front door and arrested him. I know when when they went after Solyndra, the FBI went in and came out with boxes of documents. Remember all that? So we know what they do. I know when they went after Peter Navarro, they busted in his house and put him in shackles and put him in John Hinckley's cell in the federal jail in D.C. So,
and every one of Trump's lawyers, too. All Trump's lawyers, too.
Yes.
A hit list.
Yes. So they arrested him. They booked them, including the president himself with the mugshot. And
So Bongino, he can snatch these people and just do them like Jan.
Well, there's some people. This is what I would do. Okay, I mean, this happened to J. Edgar Hoover when he first took over the FBI, and the FBI was getting attention during the early days of Prohibition. The press started saying, we've never seen him make an arrest, so he went out and arrested somebody so they could show that he could do it. Okay. We need to stop seeing promises that have not been kept. President Trump, promises made, promises kept. Almost 3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, Kash Patel and Bongino said, give us a week or two and all this stuff's going to flow. We're beyond that. All I keep hearing...
They showed their hand. They can snatch up all these Jan 6ers. They can rewrite the statute of limitations in New York and go back 30
just
years.
Because the statute of limitations has expired doesn't mean they can't question people. And if you lie to federal agents, that's a new crime. No, there's it's what I keep referring to as low-hanging fruit. Okay?
Are you thinking it's better to really to pop all this?
I think these guys, I think that it looks, now again, I want to be wrong. And if they do what's right, and then I'll be the first one to say I was wrong, I'm sorry, I apologize. Okay? But I don't think Dan Bongino, I don't think he knows how to do it. He could, as the deputy director of the FBI, I was talking about this on Monday. We had this jihadi in Boulder, Colorado, light Jews on fire while they're alive, including a Holocaust survivor was a victim of that attack. And I'm watching this press conference with Bongino should have been out there taking the lead in that case. So we could see that he's a tough cop. Like Tom Homan. How many times have you seen Tom Homan on TV? Go get him. Lock him up. Get him.
But they're dragging the whole family in. They got to get this network of sleepers and all that. They can't do it on TV. It's not like a
no.
TV
He could have been. He could have been. Excuse me. He could have been out there and taken the lead, and at least in the press conference, but he didn't do it.
I think he's hard at work.
Hard at work? What? How many times has he been on Fox?
I think you got to get a grand jury in Virginia, don't you? In D.C.
They don't. It's been long enough to get indictments. It's been long enough to get indictments.
Do you want to make these cases stick, or you want to just do TV primetime?
Well, that's all they're doing is talking to Fox and Friends, Bartiromo, Hannity, Brett Baer. They got time for that. Hey, listen, appreciate the call. All right, take care. I appreciate the call. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's been long.
1 second.
Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning.
Oh, it's you. Liberal Al the Giant. Liberal Al.
I'm enjoying my weekly acupuncture therapy.
Mm-hmm.
The Trump ban you're talking about, my therapist happens to have relatives in Venezuela.
Hold on a second here. Hold on. I'm going to put some of these people on hold. Phones are ringing. Okay, yeah, you have your therapist. Your mental health therapist, psychologist?
No, acupuncture. Yeah, you're a comedian. Acupuncture therapy every Thursday.
Oh, your acupuncture therapist, but your mental health therapist, they don't have. Okay, so they have Venezuelans in their family, and
there is no mental health therapist.
Oh, that's
anybody that knows me knows
that you need one. That you need one. I know. Anyway, okay, so your acupuncturist has Venezuelan relatives. Okay, and
and she's worried about her nephew and her sister coming up here for a 2-week visit. She
Oh,
just
no, they-
mentioned that
yeah.
today, literally.
Well, they shouldn't do that.
And why shouldn't they do that?
Well, because right now people that are from Venezuela are being looked at, and they could be confused with somebody that's not supposed to be here.
I sort of doubt it since they've made this trip several times before.
Okay, then make it.
Partially
If they're
partially
law abiding, if they're law abiding and have documents, they come to Florida for a week.
Yeah. But even law-abiding citizens are still being deported. You do realize that is happening on
Who's being
on a
deported?
scale, right?
Who's being deported?
There was a Canadian woman that was deported, even though she had a plane ticket, was a legal resident of Canada, that made multiple trips here. She was held for 2.5, 3 weeks.
Okay.
Even though she had a plane ticket, as she came into the
Well,
office.
anybody can
saying,
buy a plane
"My-
ticket
my-
online.
my-
You can go online and buy a plane ticket. That's not a immigration document. You don't need the documents to buy the ticket. You need the documents to board the plane.
She had no record at all.
So is she in the El Salvador? Okay. So where is she now?
You don't believe in the Constitution.
No, I believe it. It's a document that
You believe in
exists.
due process. You don't believe in. You're talking about due process, and you don't believe in.
Well, what happened to the Canadian?
they're
Where's
trying
the
to-
Canadian now?
You don't believe in the 14th Amendment.
Where
You
is
don't
the
believe in 14th
Where's the
Amendment.
Canadian?
Trump
Late.
doesn't. He's running. He's
Oh
running
my!
the same
Al,
cases.
Al, stop trying to show off for this Venezuelan acupuncturist that you're trying to get lucky with.
She's in
No
the
one,
other room.
no
I
one
have
wants to.
myself. She's in the
Al,
other
Al. No matter what you say to your female Venezuelan acupuncturist, she, like the rest of the women of Florida, none of them want to have sex with you. All right. So stop trying to make your move.
I'm not coming here for sex. What's wrong with you?
Well, it's a good thing you're not, because I'm knowing what you look like. I know she doesn't want to give it to you. All right, appreciate that.
married.
Like you care.
Yeah,
Like you care.
You don't
You're one of those. You're one of those guys.
Please, you get some help.
You're one of those guys who's, your sexuality is trisexual. You'll try with anybody who does it with you because you're so. All right, Al, take care. Oh my goodness. He's talking. He's trying to show off to her. That's why he's talking so loud. He's like, "Watch, I'm going to get on the radio. Go in the other room. Turn on the radio, and I'm going to call in and talk about you and your relatives." Oh my goodness. Let's talk about the free doorbell camera offer from Sloman's. I love this doorbell camera, and you will too. You can get a free doorbell camera that connects directly to your cell phone with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Sloman's are also going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. You get an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts, a lifetime warranty, a backup battery, plus you'll receive a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Sloman's Shield. Give them a call. Toll free, 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050. We'll be right back with the Gold Report. Hey, William, hold on. We'll be with you shortly. Hold on. All right, stand by, William. 20 seconds. I'll go to you.
Hello?
Yep, well, 10 seconds. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. It's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how are the metals opening today?
Metals are opening strong again today. The markets yesterday up nicely on gold, up $20.90, taking it to $3,372.70. Silver closed at $34.47 yesterday, down a penny. Platinum gained $14 at $1,090, and palladium was down $20 at $978. Overnight, we saw gold trade in a range of $3,360 on the low, all the way up to $3,405.
Wow.
Right now, we're at $3,392. That's up $19.30. So back up to $3,400 gold again. Silver up $1.46 this morning at $35.94. So far, we've got up to $36.07 on silver this morning. Platinum up $44 at $1,134, and palladium up $29 at $1,007. So all of the precious metals are up strongly today.
Oh, yeah. What did you say silver was at?
Silver is now $35.94 the ounce,
Holy.
basically $36 an ounce, up $1.46.
Wow. You know, some of the coolest silver, I mean, everybody has their thing, but you've got the 10-ounce bars, the kilos, and the 100-ounce. Can you talk about those a little bit and what kind of deals you have on those right now?
Sure. All of the silver products are priced very reasonable as far as the premiums are concerned, actually lowest ever. And you can get the kilo bars or 100-ounce bars for as little as 50 cents over spot. You can get the 1-ounce rounds for just $2 over spot. We have just about everything in stock.
Wow.
And at very good prices.
Wow, that's amazing. Those are some good deals there. Listen, William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. You can stop in. He's located in Boca Raton at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, immediately east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto. And when you go into the Bank of America building, William Youngerman's shop is directly across the lobby from the bank inside. You can't miss it. Or give him a call, toll free, 800-327-5010, 800-327-5010. And online, WilliamYoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll finish out the week tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day. Thanks.
All right, take care. All right, back to our phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Anthony. I'm calling from California.
All right, Anthony, speak up.
I just wanted to know how you feel about, because I saw in the comments about like Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and all that shit.
Okay, that first dump of the day, Mike, right at the end. Oh, my goodness. Full board of calls, too. If you're on hold, stand by as we wait for the delay to re-engage. How do I feel about Hunter and Joe Biden? I don't like him. Hunter Biden has every vice known to man except gambling. I haven't heard anything about the gambling. He probably doesn't have the money long enough to go to the track. But we found that he was working, even though he's hooked on drugs, and they found cocaine in the West Wing, that he was operating as the chief of staff. So I don't like those guys. They're very dangerous. And and he's on the lam right now. He's hiding out in South Africa, Hunter Biden. So I guess so he doesn't get any press attention there. So that's how I feel. But oh man. Okay, delay, re-engaged. Our number. I thought we were going to go through the whole show today without using the dump button. And this would have been the first day we didn't use the dump button in weeks. I can't remember the last time we had a show where there was no dump button used. All right, and for those that don't know, the dump button, when someone uses profanity, which is forbidden on the radio, we have to edit that, beep that out. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. Jeff from Maine.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey,
yeah.
The breadth and width and depth of the DOJ investigations and stuff, it seems like this slow roll on it, but I think it's for a reason. I still believe Trump picked the right picks, and one thing that, this DOJ problem goes back decades and is so deep rooted. There's still so many evil people in the DOJ. Don't you agree that that's going to take probably the most time of all of the investigations? My example is Homeland Security and closing the border and deportations. They jumped on that and took right off running.
Well, yesterday, ICE yesterday deported more people yesterday than they have in a single day in their entire agency history.
But their mission is clear cut, and there's really no opposition. The opposition is ridiculous because the Democrats are standing up for illegal
listen. Let me tell you.
aliens.
Like, okay, if I were Dan Bongino, okay, this is an example of something I would do. There's a lot of people like me that are giving him a hard time. It's not just me, okay. I would take
No, I understand that.
I would take a team of FBI agents that I'm leading, and I'd fly to Butler, and I would do a very high-profile investigation about Butler, right? But I haven't seen him do that or anything. All I've seen him do is whine on TV about his marriage falling apart, staring at four walls all day, and he's going to do this and he's going to do that. Just wait. Oh, and by the way, there's no conspiracy with Epstein. Right? I mean, come on.
Well, my question is, what do you mean by conspiracy of Epstein? Because Epstein, I believe, is not over. And even
Dan Bongino said it. He said he's got the videotape and it proves everything. Nothing to see. Jeff, I got to run. We're at the tail end of the show, but I appreciate the call and I hear your point. Before we go back to the calls, I want to talk about Dr. Appleton and his laser wave pain treatment. Today's Thursday. That means tomorrow is the beginning of the weekend. And if you're suffering with aches and pains, go see Dr. Appleton. As I was growing older, stuff starts really falling apart at 45. And when you hit 50 is when you notice you don't recover so fast. Right? You used to fall down. I can remember falling down on my bike and having the handlebars go directly in my chest, knocking the wind out of me. I'm lying on the street in front of the house. I can't breathe. I'm in pain. And 5 minutes later, I'm back on my bike with my friends. I mean, you have a problem very minor like that when you're over 50. You're like, you're dying. There's no recovery anymore. You just don't recover. And I was having all kinds of problems until I met Dr. Philip Appleton and started the laser wave pain treatments. He's rid me of pain 7 times. It works. And I've met so many of our listeners, some of them you hear on commercials on the program, who are now living pain-free lives thanks to Dr. Appleton. I meet listeners at events. I was talking about Wings Plus earlier. And I can tell before they get up to me that they're going to talk about Dr. Appleton ridding them of pain because they walk to me with their hand on a part of their body. Sometimes it's their neck. Sometimes it's their hip. Sometimes they're walking to me with their hand on their elbow. And they say, I used to have pain in my elbow, pain in my neck, arthritis in my hip, until Dr. Appleton treated me with his laser wave pain treatment. It's gone. It's kind of a funny thing when they have their hand on a part of their body. And that's awesome. And I'm glad that I was able to tell you about Dr. Appleton. Go see Dr. Appleton. Remember, with his laser treatments, which he performs all of himself, there's no shots, no drugs, no surgery, no downtime, and no appointment necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. Give him a call. Take advantage of the no-charge consultation. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Joellen from Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Joellen.
Hey, I hear you're getting down on Dan Bongino. He walked into a hornet's nest. I have great faith in those guys that Trump appointed. And it takes time. It takes time, and we have no idea exactly what they're working on and what's happening behind the scenes. So he did not want to take that job.
Yeah.
He did not want to
Who
take
wants
that
to walk
job.
away
I
from
was here for 3 hours.
Why didn't he want to take it? Why do you think
he
didn't want to take it?
Well, one, his health. One thing is his health. He's always been, if you ever listen to him on the radio, it's always been a thing with him.
He looks all right. He works out every day.
And his family, and he had a great life. He gave it up for our country and for Trump.
I know he sacrificed. Listen. I know he sacrificed a lot, including a humongous income from his business. I get it, but if he doesn't make some arrest and do something, I mean, come on.
Brian, we have no idea what's happening behind the scenes.
No, 2.5 weeks ago. Listen,
he was there after Butler.
After
Butler, he went to the.
He said, I read the report on Butler. There's nothing there. No conspiracy. I read the report. Why, the Chris Wray report? I mean, come on.
Does that mean, how do we know that he's telling the truth, though?
Oh, so he's lying. Why would he be doing Fox News?
We have no idea why he's saying that, though.
What you have, all I'm being critical of, he said 2.5 weeks ago, Kash Patel said, give me a week or two and the information will flow. Yeah. It's 2.5 weeks later. Beyond that, nothing's flown. Listen, I'm out of time. I got to run, Joellen. You called at the very end, but I appreciate the call. What Joellen has is faith, and she's a fan of Bongino. It's the Steve Kane Show. Tomorrow is Friday. That means open phones, open MAGA Mike Friday. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow, 6 a.m. All right, so tomorrow is open phones. Those of you that are new, we call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. And on Friday's show, you can call in about any and everything on your mind. You don't have to call in and talk about the things that we bring up. It's completely open phones. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. That's tomorrow, so don't miss it. If you're new to the program, make sure you subscribe, all right? This is where MAGA comes to talk, all right? I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching, everyone.